podcast. Today we have a very special guest here, Alex.
Hello guys, nice to meet you.
So Alex, also known as Lex Hui or Oyali, right? He shares very interesting experiences in Taiwan on his YouTube channel. And he's originally from Russia, and he moved to Taipei when you
2014.
14?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay,
So
so
it's been a while.
about almost 9 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now you're working full time.
Right.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us more about it? Like, what brought you to Taiwan, and how did that journey started?
Okay, sure. So originally I started to come to Taiwan when I was I think 14 years old, or maybe even 13, because my dad, he actually used to work here in Taiwan as an engineer, and then during the time when I studied in the school, I would come here to visit him during the summer, and then when it came to the actually choosing where I want to study for my university, then I decided to study here. And the main reason, because I think it was really nice place to be. I saw the beautiful island, the people are super nice here. You can actually visit a lot of different places within a few hours, because everything is super close.
Super close, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that was all things together make me want to come here and start my journey in Taiwan.
But it's been it's been 9 years. It's
Right.
been quite a while.
Yeah.
You speak multiple languages, right? You speak. But when you came to Taiwan, do you already understand a little bit of Chinese?
No.
Or
Actually, even English was kind of hard for me at the time. I actually started to study English every day because I need to pass the test. I could come here to study in Taiwan in English, but still, even though I remember at my first semester, everything was super hard for me to understand. Going to the second year, it was much easier.
wow, so you actually work hard. Like, you really try to make it and all that. So you came to study, and now you're working full time, right? I feel like a lot of people kind of facing difficulties in making the leap or transitioning, especially from student life to a career life, like a professional full time job. Yeah.
For me, I think why it wasn't that hard, is because I actually started to work from a long time ago. I think my first ever job was when I was 14 years old. So it wasn't really hard for me to know how to actually make money. I knew, but of course there's always different ways. Sometimes you need to do some hard jobs to make money. For example, working in the restaurants or much. But if it's actually something that you want to do for life, I think it's something you need to focus on to accumulate experience and also build the portfolio, which will help you to get the job, the first job. And I think when you study here, you need to decide what do you want to do when you graduate, because I think a lot of people, when they finish the school, they still don't know what do they like.
Yeah,
that's the main problem.
Of, learning themselves, right? Yeah.
So,
yeah, I feel like you learn, you discover and learn a lot about yourself for your own, right?
I think because a lot of people, they think, oh, if you study the school, they think, oh, school need to teach me everything, school need to give me the knowledge, school need to help me to find the first job. But I kind of feel like school doesn't actually it doesn't necessarily help with the future jobs. I think it's a good place to meet a lot of people. It's a good place to know how to work in the teams, because actually when you start to work, sometimes it's kind of like a school. You have the projects, you have the deal with, you have the manager, you have who's your teacher, you have some other team member. So that's why I think when you're studying in school, you need to focus on how to work with the people, how to be friendly, how to make sure that you don't necessarily hurt each other's feelings. You help each other. In particular in this field, I think it's easier for you to get actual knowledge by yourself, by working part-time, maybe taking some internships, maybe studying by yourself. To get it, you need to first understand what do you actually like to do. No one will help you, right? No one will know it for you. So first you need to decide, okay, I want to maybe do marketing or social media or photography, and then try to get as much as you can for experience, portfolio. You also get to know the people who is working in this similar industry, because networking is also really important.
Right?
It's really helpful, like because like even like when people look for the new employee in the company, first they're gonna ask within their friends. Like they will ask like, oh, do you
Do
know?
you know anyone?
Right.
Yeah.
So and then like after, if there's no one, then like it will go like to 104 or LinkedIn.
Yeah, like the HR and all that. Yeah, basically internally first and then going external. Yeah.
Like try to find something you like and make sure that it's something what is going to be profitable as well, because a lot of people they think, oh, I like partying, or I like well, I mean maybe like if you like partying, maybe you can work in the club,
Club or bar.
be a PR somewhere like,
Maybe not necessarily like profitable right now, because when you build your portfolio, you also need to put that extra effort and all that, right? But in the long run,
also like don't expect that like, your first ever job gonna pay you a lot of money. So
yeah.
like prepare yourself like first, second job, like it's basically for you to get experience, to build your portfolio, and then like maybe after that you can actually start to make more money. A lot of people they kind of undervalue the importance of experience, actual experience working in the company, because when we interview the people, we don't really care like where did they study, like I think it's like a plus, but like the first what people gonna look for is like portfolio, like where did they work before, because like nowadays like the school it doesn't actually, the person is gonna be qualified to do the tasks that company needs to do.
Alex brought a really good point, especially right now with globalization, a lot of like remote work opportunities and all that. It's even more transparent and easier for a company to just like outsource a certain job to maybe people outside of a certain country. Yeah, for like a more affordable labor and all that. So it's really important that you showcase your value, right, and what you get. Your first ever full-time position, was it also in marketing or?
Oh, the first full-time job, it was actually in the hotel. Like it was like when I graduated, but it was more just to like get the visa here, because like the job that I wanted to do is like marketing, and it's really hard for a foreigner to get the job doing marketing here in Taiwan, because most of the people they're gonna do sales, or maybe like teaching English, or maybe like some software engineers. This is kind of I think the most popular, the common
job options, more in this field. You're right.
Yeah, but I didn't want to do any of those jobs, so I got kind of like my plan B was like start to work in the hotel, because I also like, got an experience before, so I started to work in the hotel, and I think after 3 months, like I found a job, and it actually was also from the networking, because I knew the person who after became my manager, and then like one time I just asked him, oh, like do you guys looking for someone to do marketing? I showed them some of my portfolio, because I also was the only one foreigner in the company, so I showed them like what did I do before. At that time, like I had not only one Instagram account, I created like 4 or 5 Instagram accounts, just to show that it was not because lucky or something like that. Because maybe someone can say, oh, you had only one Instagram page and there's a lot of followers, but maybe it's because it maybe just happened because you're lucky, right? But if you have like 2, 3, 4, it means it's not really luck, it's it's knowledge.
The system, you know like how to do it,
right?
Replicate it in different areas.
I showed them some of the mistakes they have with their own social media right now, and actually they couldn't handle managing their social media, because.
So your first role was like marketing, second role start transitioning to more like a marketing focused role, but right now you're also doing like in marketing position.
Right.
Yeah. So I heard right now you're working for a very cool company. All of our Alex clients are in the US now. So why don't you tell us more about yourself?
Okay.
Yeah.
So the current company is also like related to marketing, and like it was completely opposite to what I used to do before, because in the previous company I was working for like Taiwanese market, so like all of our customers used to be Taiwanese. Like we need to like every day like I would need to speak in Chinese, like with some like influencers. It was all in Chinese, and the other company it was completely opposite, because it like there's like a lot of foreigners in the company, then I need to speak English all the time. And actually before that, in the previous company I worked there for 3 years, I even kind of forgot my English. I even find a tutor to help me to improve my English, because if you speak with customers like in English, you need to be
Like native.
native,
Yeah.
And then like when I started to work, because in the previous company actually I started with social media, but after I was handling like a lot of different positions from different departments, and when I moved to this company it was like really narrowed down to only like making the content, focusing on creating more content for the company. It was much better. This company, I think it also helped me to grow, like to understand like how does it work outside of Taiwan. We also have some clients in Europe, so we can actually talk to those people, cooperate with them, see like how people are outside there. And yeah, it's pretty good experience, I think, and still working there. So yeah, hopefully still can help to contribute to the company as long as I can.
Yeah. So because I feel like your position is really unique. So having worked in both different marketing, like for Taiwan and for for the US, what are the big differences you see? Yeah.
I think the first one is like the language.
Language, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, then like the way people work. For example, like in Taiwan, like you need to pay for this, you need to pay for that. But like in United States, people are really okay to do affiliate, just like they get the commissions based on the performance.
Yeah.
Yes, the way they promote, the way they put those links. Like I feel like, oh wait, this is really hard for people to click on it, because actually, let's say like they talk about this product, like for whole video, but like the link they put is kind of really far away, and there's like it picks together with some other affiliate links, and
You just lose your
right. So
commission.
those are the parts I feel like, oh, it's kind of different. Marketing, just like some little details. In general, I think it's similar.
You mentioned like on your second job that at first you were just doing social media, but then your responsibilities grows and all that. So other than building your portfolio, like how would you showcase to your manager, to your colleagues that, oh, actually, like this is the value that you got when you hire me, yeah, that you could bring to the company, and you keep developing your skills and not just stagnating at one position. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like try to make sure that you help the company by hiring you. Like you need to make sure that you actually they can make more money. This is how it works, because for the company that they're gonna hire is like an investment. It's not like they had to have you and pay you money just for nothing. Like it's an investment for them. Like so, and any boss, like any company owner, like when they invest money, they want to make sure that
there's a return.
return.
Right?
Yes. So this is the mindset you need to have when you go and ask for the job. Just make sure that you have something to show when you go on an interview. For example, maybe if you like to take photos, make sure that you have like really good portfolio of some different photos. Like show that your different editing styles, like different special effects and everything. So like when they hire you, like it's gonna be easier like for them to see. So I think like it's not really hard to find a job when you actually have when you're actually better than average. Like if you average level, of course, it's going to be hard for you to find, because you have too many people to compete with. But like once you're getting above the average, like it's not going to be hard for you to find a job. So make sure that you get above the average.
Average, yeah. You brought such a good point. Sometimes you just like need to put the work on yourself as well. Alex, thank you so much for sharing. I feel like you just shared a lot of good points there that a lot of people are actually sometimes just didn't think about. Yeah. So before we actually end the podcast, if you have like any one advice looking back to your younger self, or just to international students out there right now that they're probably looking to transition to a full-time job, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, just make sure to find something you like and make spend as much time as you can on like improving yourself in that particular field. Like make portfolio, make some friends who's doing the same thing. Like make sure that you can be like the best one in this particular field, and then it's gonna be really easy for you to find a job.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening to Think Global and Work Local with Alex today. I hope you will find something useful out of it, and please share this with one of your friends that could use this for some inspiration. And the more listeners that we get, the the bigger the impact and the more cooler podcast guests that we will bring on board and interview. Thank you so much for listening, and then stay curious, stay connected, and see you on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.